welcome back to my mom's recipe box. Today we are going to make one of my dad's favorite cakes, and that's a red velvet cake. Now my dad, as you probably guessed from these videos, my dad liked a lot of different kinds of cake. He had a lot of favorites. He liked angel food cake with strawberries. He liked chocolate chip cake in a bun pan. He liked red velvet cake. He also liked brownies, so I think I got my sweet tooth from my dad. So we are going to make our red velvet cake today. And red velvet cake is a little bit different from some of the other cakes you might have made in the past. This cake calls for buttermilk and vinegar and a nice fizzy combo of baking soda and vinegar. And it also calls for a good bit of red food coloring. Now the red food coloring kind of makes it a red velvet cake, but really if you don't want to add a lot of food coloring to your cake, it's kind of optional. It doesn't really affect the flavor. And it has just a little bit of cocoa powder in it because it's not really a dark chocolate cake, okay? So enough blabbing about red velvet cake. Let's get started putting it together, okay? So the first thing we want to do is preheat our oven to 350 degrees. And I apologize for the ugly ponytail, but I just got out of the shower, so there you go. Okay, so we've preheated our oven, and the next thing I want to let you know is about how to get your cakes out of your cake pans. So what I'm going to be using here are two 8-inch cake pans, and instead of flouring and greasing them, I just cut out a parchment paper circle and put it in the bottom. You don't need to do anything with the side. With the parchment paper on the bottom, these cakes are going to come right out, okay? So let's put that off to the side, and then when we come back, we are going to put our batter together, okay? Welcome back. So it's time to put our batter together for our red velvet cake. So over here, I have a stick of butter going in, slightly soft, a little, maybe more than slightly. And I have 1.5 cups of sugar. Okay. Let's get that going. Just going to cream this together until it gets smooth. Okay, now we're going to add 2 eggs. One at a time. And then we're going to mix this until it's smooth. Okay, the next thing we're going to add is the cocoa powder, which is 2 tablespoons. Like I said, not a chocolatey cake. So 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder and a big squirt of red gel food coloring, okay? Here's our cocoa powder. I don't want to wear it, so I'm going to turn this off for a second. And here is our red gel food coloring. And I'm going to give it a big old squirt of this gel food coloring. Now it's going to be a red velvet cake. You can see how dark it's starting to get, that really deep red color. I'm going to add a little bit more. Look at that color. Isn't that beautiful, guys? Let's get a little more red in there. Okay. I'm going to put the cap on because we have cats. And our white cat, I'd like to keep him white and not red. Okay. So we've got the sugar and the butter and the eggs and the cocoa and the red food coloring in there. What we're going to put in here is a little bit of salt, just maybe a 1/4 teaspoon, and our favorite ingredient for all our baked sweets, and that is vanilla extract. And we are going to just go ahead and give it a nice big squirts. Okay, and then we're going to mix this together. Is there really any such thing as too much vanilla extract? No. Okay, I'm going to give this a little scrape. Okay. And the next thing we're going to put in here is the buttermilk and the flour. We have 1 cup of buttermilk and we have 2.5 cups of flour. All right. So we are going to start with some flour. don't want to be mixing this at top speed, guys. It's going to go everywhere. And then we're going to add a little bit of buttermilk. There we go. And then we're going to add a little bit of flour. And we'll follow that up with a little bit of buttermilk. And we'll go back and forth until we have a nice smooth consistency on our batter, okay? Welcome back, guys. So the batter is nice and velvety and smooth like red velvet. And now the last thing we're going to do to the batter before we get it in the oven is we're going to do a little fun fizzy thing that your kids will love. And what I have here in this dish is I have a teaspoon and a half of baking powder. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a tablespoon of vinegar to this, and then we're going to add this whole thing into the cake. Now the recipe calls for white vinegar, but guess what? I don't have any. So I'm using apple cider vinegar. It does taste different, but I think in this cake you're not really going to notice. What you notice most in this cake is going to be the cocoa and the buttermilk, okay? So we're going to add a tablespoon of vinegar. And kids at home, can you tell me what's going to happen when I put this vinegar into the baking soda? What's going to happen? Exactly. Check it out. It's so exciting. We're going to stir this up. Ooh, look at that. Ooh. And we're going to put this, okay, make people dizzy. We're going to put this whole thing in our cake. And then quick, we're going to stir it in, okay? There we go. Oh, that's so exciting. Okay. Now our batter is ready to go in our 2 cake pans. So, let's put this in here. Sorry, bad angle, I know. Okay. And then we're going to do it for the second pan. Okay, so we're going to just smooth this around a little bit and even it out. Just like so. And then we're going to do the same thing with this one. Even it out. If the parchment is showing a little bit at the side, don't worry about it. Okay, that even. And then we're going to put these 2 in the oven at 350 degrees for about 30 minutes. Okay, come back. Hi everybody, welcome back. So cakes have been in the oven at 350 degrees for about 25 minutes. And you can see when a skewer that comes out clean and the cakes are starting to pull away from the pan a little bit, that means they're done. Okay, so they took about 25 minutes. You want to cool them for about 10 minutes and then turn them out onto a rack. These have been cooling for a few hours, and I don't turn them out onto a rack because I have cats and the cats won't leave them alone. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to frost them. Over here to the bowl, and you will see that inside this mixing bowl I have a stick of butter that's softened. I have 8 ounces of cream cheese, and I have about 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Now the cream cheese is basically a block. But because we went to Costco, we had a great big huge honking tub of it. So I scooped out 8 ounces, okay? But you can just, if you have just a block of cream cheese, you can use that. Okay, so putting it in the mixer, and we're just gonna mix this until it's combined. Okay? Now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna put my shield on. And I'm gonna add confectioner sugar, okay? Now, this is a 2-pound bag of confectioner sugar, and what I'm gonna do basically is I'm gonna add enough sugar to make a frosting consistency. I'm sorry, not batter, frosting. And so it's probably going to take less than the whole 2 pounds. It might take about 1.5 pounds. So it might take maybe 3/4 of this bag. But it's basically to taste, okay? And I want to make enough frosting that I can finish frosting this cake, including a middle part and then the sides and top, okay? So I'm going to add this gradually because I don't want to be wearing confectioner sugar, and I don't want confectioner sugar all over the kitchen. Okay, so we're just going to drop that. I'm going to turn this on, And I'm going to very carefully feed confectioner sugar into the bowl, just like this. Okay. And I'm going to let it beat for a little bit. And then I'm going to add some more. And if my frosting gets too stiff, I'm going to add a little bit of half and half to thin it out, and that'll also give it a little more of a creamy flavor, okay? So I'm just going to be adding this gradually and beating after each addition until I get the consistency I want, okay? So come on back. Okay guys, welcome back. So we're going to take our cakes and we're going to turn them out onto this plate, and then we're going to frost it, okay? So because I have the parchment, see how easily that comes off? So we're going to peel the parchment off of this cake, just like so. And then we're going to put some frosting. And here's our frosting all done. This stuff is very, very sweet, guys. And it's a little thinner than your normal cake frosting. You can always add more confectioner sugar to thicken it up. What I ended up doing was adding a little bit of half and half, so that made the consistency a little bit thinner. So that's why this frosting is a little thin. If you don't want to use cream cheese frosting, that's okay. You can use any kind of buttercream frosting that you want to use. The cream cheese is just sort of the classic frosting to put on here. But I'll tell you guys, my dad's favorite red velvet cake did not have the cream cheese frosting. It had a 12-minute frosting that is absolutely to die for. And I will make it for you because it is so good. You don't even need to have a cake. You can just eat the frosting because it's so darn good, okay? So, but I'll make a different kind of cake for you guys and we'll use that frosting, all right? I promise. Okay, so there we've got our center frosting done. And then I'm gonna take the other layer. Now this layer I put this side down because I wanted to have a flat surface for my frosting. For your top layer, you're gonna put the flat side facing. So we've got the top of the cake is gonna be this layer here instead of being on the bottom. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'm gonna take this layer of parchment paper off. And you can see how easy this cake comes out of the pan. No greasing, no flouring necessary. So I'm just going to take this and I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to pop it down there. Okay. And the nice thing about doing it like this is you have this smooth layer on top. You're not going to have as many crumbs. If you're worried about seeing some crumbs in your frosting, what you can do is put a very thin layer of frosting on, let it set, and then put another layer of frosting on to cover up all the crumbs. Because I'm not a professional cake decorator anymore, I don't care about the crumbs anymore. So what I want to do here is I want to put enough frosting on the top that I can kind of spread it without worrying about pulling up crumbs. So I'm going to use more frosting than I would normally need on the top, and I'm going to just push it over to the sides and let it come down the side, okay? That way I can frost the cake without worrying that I'm gonna have a lot of crumbs, okay? All right, so we're just gonna push this out to the sides, push it out to the sides, and then I can frost the sides without worrying about crumbs on the top. Okay, and I just keep turning it and making sure I don't have any bare spots. Okay, there we go. All right, so there we go all the way around. Make sure. See this cake, the icing is soft, so you can see it's already a little, you know, a bit around there. Okay. All right. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna just sprinkle Okay? And there you have a red velvet cake with cream cheese icing. Okay, welcome back everybody. So our red velvet cake is ready for taste test. Okay, I'm gonna go right in the middle so I can get some icing and some cake.
Creamy.
Cheesy. Yeah. Frosting's very cream cheesy.
Cream cheesy.
Very sweet. Cake is good. It's kind of dense.
Moist.
Pretty tender. There's enough cocoa in it that you can tell it's chocolate. And the buttermilk gives it a little bit of a tang. It was pretty good. I can see why my dad was so fond of this cake. So anyway, guys, it's easy. It's really delicious. It's a nice, even on a weekday, a nice dessert. Gives you sort of a special dessert feeling. Anyway, I hope you guys will try this red velvet cake with cream cheese frosting. And if you like it, drop us a line and let us know. Give us a like, give us a share, and think about subscribing.
Absolutely.
So that you can get notified every week when we have more delicious recipes from my mom's recipe box. So until then, take good care, everybody. Stay safe. We'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.
See you next week. Bye-bye.